Everyone, good morning.
Hello there.
Hi.
Good morning.
People are already signing in on the doc. That's great. I'll put the link here in the Slack chat in case anybody doesn't have it. In the Zoom chat, rather.
Hey, everybody.
Tracy, morning. Good afternoon, good morning. Shift over to headphones here. Should I share my screen with the doc in it, or does everybody already have it up on their own?
Yeah, if you're able to, I think it's always nice to have a shared view on it and what's being edited.
All right, well, I think we have quorum. Let's go ahead and start. I guess I should introduce myself. I'm not, this is my first time facilitating this meeting, so please bear with me and let me know if I've missed out on anything or got something wrong. I'm happy to take feedback on that. I'm Eric, I work at Puppet, and we'll just again, see, we've got a few things on the agenda. I don't know if there are, the first one says action item review, but I'm not sure whether there are specific things that were on there that are not covered by one of the more specific items. Does anyone have something that falls into that category that we should talk about?
Yeah, I think I have an action item. If you go to the previous meeting, I think Ramin mentioned that we should reach out to Netflix Armory folks because they are doing good work with Spinnaker and so on. I reached out to Isaac Mosquera, I think, from Armory, but I haven't heard from him yet. And I will reach out to Andy Glover from Netflix and try to get some representation from Spinnaker to this group, so they contribute to the work we are doing here, hopefully. So that was the only action item from last week, I think.
Cool. Are there other avenues that we should try? I mean, if feels like that, I agree that that's an important thing to do. It seems like we should be able to get in contact with somebody over there. I know Rosalind Benoit was involved with the CD Summit, so she might be another person to work with.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Yeah, quite.
I was going to say I'm in a meeting with her on Friday, so I could hit her up and see if there's folks she'd recommend, or if she herself wants to get involved.
Are there other communities or tools that we are also missing that would be in a similar similar position?
Actually, just as a general thing, it just occurred to me that we could do a shout out at the next talk meeting. I know there's some Screwdriver CD folks in there and other folks from other communities pop in and out, so that might be a good place. But yeah, if any other forums we think we should be going to do some outreach, if folks have ideas, would be good to hear them.
Maybe anyone has any contact from Argo? I think they've been admitted to CNCF recently. It would be good to, have some kind of introduction to those folks.
Yes, I know these guys. So I know Sumit Nakdal, and he's working in this group, so I can reach out to him. So I will have a meeting with him next Tuesday. And I will also mention the Continuous Delivery Foundation and the SIG.
Awesome.
Andreas, I didn't quite catch the name. Can you go ahead and write that in the doc, the person that you were mentioning? I don't know that I could transliterate the spelling of what you just said. Cool. Any other action items from previous meetings that we should go through? We got the one thing that's pegging my memory is I'm looking back through the previous meetings was around the PR on the vocabulary. We got that merged into the repo, right? I'm pretty sure that's merged.
Yeah, I think Andreas sent another PR for Captain vocabulary, and it's still open, I think.
Yeah. I think I got tagged as a reviewer on that too, so I'll try to take a look at that this week.
Thank you.
Yeah, same.
All right. Keep going. Tracy, this is yours on the roadmap doc.
Yeah, I'll give a brief update. So for folks who haven't seen this, we're starting to put together a kind of a roadmap. So a basic now, next, later, so people can sort of say where they want to work on. We can highlight efforts that we can coalesce around. And I had some, Fatih went through and made some contributions. So that was pretty great. I have some additional work I'll be doing on it once I figure out how to cope with my kids at home. But yeah, it's starting to shape up quite nicely in terms of we're just sort of showing we're focused on the knowledge transfer at the moment, and then we're going to build up to other things. And I think when I get to my next action, I'd like to drive forward more of the outreach in terms of highlighting the importance of interoperability to the wider industry and getting our message out about what we're doing and how the tools work together. So ongoing action for everyone is to have a look at this document, give some comments, put in ideas of things you'd be interested in working in, or things, new things you want to suggest. And I'll have another pass before the next meeting, start to work out how to make it prettier and have a way to share it on the website or in GitHub somehow. So we can then use it to go talk about and just get more people involved with the activities.
Awesome. Yeah, this has come a long way since 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, continuous improvement for the win. Okay, so unless there's any questions or comments or things folks want to discuss right now, that's all I had on the roadmap.
I guess, is there a target date that you're looking for to kind of close comments and get it published?
That's a good point. Yeah, we should probably look at getting something like a first working version a bit more publicly, say over the next month or so. And then I'd probably see it as just a always ongoing sort of effort.
Excellent. Sounds right to me. All right. Thanks for keeping notes while I was talking with you. And next up, the newsletter. This is also you, Tracy.
Yeah, so if you go ahead and click on that. So there's a lot of activity happening on the outreach part of the CDF. And one of the conversations, there's a project outreach subcommittee, is that we want to drive more conversations around specific monthly themes. And so one of the main vessels for this will be the newsletter. And so April's theme for this month, and this is the first time we're trying it out, is going to be interoperability. So in terms of newsletter, we're looking to curate about 4 articles about interoperability. And actually, I saw both yours, Eric, article, and Andreas, your article. So I have it on my list to have a look, to read through those. But if you'd be interested, either to have those republished or do a slight different take on that, which fits with this theme, I'd love to have like Jackie reach out to you and discuss how that might work.
Sure, absolutely. From my perspective, I'll include, I have Andreas up in another window, so I can add that link in here as well. And yeah, mine was, I had one that was like a kind of overview of, it's mostly Tecton focused, but I talked a lot about the other projects that make use of Tecton and some new developments like triggers in the dashboard and pipeline conditionals and stuff that people might not know about yet.
Yeah, so I think for that one, actually talking about like how that's related to the vocabulary and focusing a bit on that would be key. And then having some articles. I know we've got some other folks who are lined up to write, you know, like how Jenkins works with Spinnaker, how Tecton works with Jenkins X and things like that. So yeah, let me connect up with Jackie and with you, and we can drive that further to see how to reuse those articles. And also open it up to anybody else here. If you are interested in writing something for the newsletter for this month, as you can see, the drafts are due by the 21st. So that's the time frame. Please let me know. And you can go ahead and do that now, or just reach out to me offline or through CDF Slack.
So I would also be interested in republishing my article.
Great. Yeah, that will be perfect. Yeah, so we're going to review them at the project outreach group, and if there's slightly different framing or maybe a different title or a specific bit, then we'll feedback. And just so folks know as well, so May is ML Ops. We're going to throw that to the ML Ops SIG to do a call for articles, but also if you know anybody or you want to write stuff. And in June, we're looking for articles about security, bit kind of wide open, but it will be probably related to the projects and sort of emerging practices and kind of very current, looking for kind of current thinking that drives industry forward. And
awesome. Is this what's the distribution of this? Is it like how many folks does it go out to now? And
that's a good question. I had seen some numbers, but I don't remember them.
Okay.
Yeah, I can find out. I'll ask Jackie. But the other thing, I don't know if we're going to get this off the ground.
It's about.
Oh, hey, just like magic, Jackie. I hope I didn't say anything.
Hi, Peter.
Hello.
Yeah, it's about 866. So it's fairly small right now.
Yeah. And Jackie, who does appear as the voice of CD Foundation on this call, I was just going to mention, so I think we're hoping to get some other things going, like a kind of a crowd chat where we'd have some folks come in from this SIG, be on hand to have some discussions, just kind of give some space to folks to join in and have an open discussion in kind of a virtual way about interoperability, and just sort of see what comes from that. And it would be a good way for us to get some more people interested in this group and get some more people thinking about the kinds of problems we're trying to solve here. And yeah, Jackie, I guess as soon as we know more, we can post it for this group.
Cool, sounds great.
Okay, and yeah, that's all on the newsletter.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe we can just chat on CDF Slack or something like that to get more details, and that time frame should be fine from my perspective. Get something written. I have lots of time to write these days, which is why I wrote it 10,000 words about Tecton.
Cool.
All right, so shall we transition over to James? You want to talk to us about Jenkins X?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and stop sharing too.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. So I actually must admit I'd forgotten about this until this morning, so all good. But I've got some kind of slides just to talk through a little bit. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but probably a little demo as well if that interests folks. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I guess there seems to be quite a bit of time, so it's never going to fill the whole amount of time. So if you have questions, then please ask and speak through it. It's fairly free and lucid. So yeah, it'd be good to have any questions you have. Just say. Alrighty. Let's share my screen. So let's have a look at this. Jenkins X. Okay, so Jenkins X is an open source project. It is, well, it's not actually. Let's have a look at what it's not. It's not Jenkins that's on Kubernetes is not what Jenkins X is. Sometimes I think there's a bit of confusion we've always had that where we have the name of Jenkins in the Jenkins X name, and it has caused confusion over the time. But really, we just really wanted to highlight the values that we have from the project of Jenkins. We really wanted to have a fresh look at this, what that means for developers, and so we can have a solution within the cloud, within Kubernetes, that's actually designed from the ground up to work better and work using the more cloud-friendly technologies and integrations as well. So yeah, as I mentioned, it is, so we assume Kubernetes. That's not to say that we could actually build applications that don't run on Kubernetes. You could, that's what we want to do. We'll talk a little bit about that shortly. But the idea is we actually install a number of different microservices as part of Jenkins X into a Kubernetes cluster, and we kind of provide a lot of automation to provide a nice solution so that developers can very, very quickly get up and running and building and developing software on the cloud. Mentioned developers, that's really the key word for us. We really want to try and take the heavy lifting for developers. Massive fans of Kubernetes and various different technologies or open source projects, but it's a minefield, right? So what we want to do is within Jenkins X is try and, it's quite opinionated, using recommended, well-used practices, but also open source projects to kind of tie them all together to provide an experience that developers are really familiar with, but also helps them get up and running very, very quickly to start adding value themselves very, very quickly. So we also have the experience, the developer experience is something that's really kind of key to Jenkins X. The Jenkins X actually is CLI based. So we have a CLI that we call JX, and that's the main way to actually interact with an installation of Jenkins X. And we have a number of different commands. There's a ton of commands there, but it helps you not only install and set up, but also then interact with the installation as well. If you want to trigger builds, or if you want a quick start, or if you want to look at build logs as well, or if you want to look at a different application in a different environment. So we have the number of these different commands. We really were heavily influenced by the efforts around the State of DevOps reports and more recently the Accelerate book. So we're not trying to say we've tried to implement the book. It's not really that at all. It's just we're very aware of the hard work that people have been doing around the data scientists, around gathering a lot of information about how we can deliver, how successful teams build better software. So where possible, we've tried to make those defaults. I've got a couple there, like trunk-based development, automated deployment processes, which we'll see shortly as well, loosely coupled architectures. So really, trying to really embrace as much as possible some of those capabilities that Accelerate has found. Okay, so we didn't want to do this, just build out Jenkins X. We wanted to integrate with as many awesome open source projects as we could, that made sense to provide a solution for developers. Bearing in mind, we know that when people are coming to Kubernetes, they may not know about Tecton, they may not know about any other Argo CD or various other projects. We wanted to try and find a good way, a native way that we can provide this experience, but behind the scenes, potentially, it's using good practices and using the cloud well. So just to say, there is no Jenkins actually in Jenkins X. I think I mentioned that before. There's no Java. We want to really kind of extend Kubernetes in the way it's expected to be extended, using controllers and formulas, operators, and various other things. But open source projects where it makes sense as well. So when Tecton came along, we jumped straight on that because well, not only they're awesome people, but it's an awesome community, and this project itself is really fantastic. It's really what we see is core to being actually providing a good open source project in Jenkins X. We're like, working well with these other open source projects that are designed specifically to do this job. What was a bit hazy? Sorry, my eyes are a bit funny there. We also use other projects like Helm for packaging applications. A developer may not know how to package an application and run it on Kubernetes. So we want to automate the setup of all of this, automate the creation of Helm templates, but not necessarily hide it away from them. Because as developers get more familiar with working with these new technologies, they want to do more as well. So we actually set them up with everything, like the scaffolding if you want. And then over time, they can peel behind the curtain and do a little bit more with this. But it's all protected with automated CI/CD. Other open source projects that just to give a shout out to things like Cert Manager. When you're working on say the public cloud, for example, if you're working on web app, you would just expect TLS, automated TLS. It's an awesome open source project, Cert Manager, but it still takes time to learn. It takes time to understand. It takes time to install and work out what the configurations you need. Where we've gone with Jenkins X is we kind of automate this. As a developer, if you want automated TLS for your application, it just happens. It's a flag that you enable, and then you get this. Things like custom domains. These are kind of, from a developer point of view, it's not that, I guess, interesting, but you would expect it as a developer. This is what we're really trying to do. So external DNS is a great open source project, integrates with other cloud providers to automatically create A records and enable automated DNS. So people will want their own custom domains and TLS as well for their applications. So we make that super simple too. Things like secrets management. We've got Vault here. We want to do other open source projects or other, not even open source projects. It might be if you have the cloud a cloud implementation for like Google Secrets Manager or AWS Secrets as well. Providing a nice experience that just uses these by default. And just looking into the future, but hopefully not the too distant future, really taking that looking at more the deployment side of things. So once you actually have automated CI/CD and you've got, say, preview environments and you're able to test out changes before they're moved to master, protect well, and you have these automated deployments into your different environments, Well, we want to actually start enabling better capabilities around progressive delivery, for example. So whether that's through Istio, and I couldn't find an icon for Flagger. I don't know what the icon is, but it's a great open source project. Integrates with other service meshes that people, again, from a developer's point of view, you just want to be able to try different deployment strategies. You want to enable canarying or A/B testing. So we just want to be able to integrate this and provide a nice experience. So that was really that. Okay, that was 10 minutes. Okay, longer than I thought. Let me show you a little demo quickly. Let me show this. Did anyone have any questions, I guess, on that at all?
I do, but I'll wait till the end of your demo.
Okay, don't forget it. That's awesome. That's good though. Well, at least we got one question. That's good. Alrighty, so there's quite a lot of demos that are out there and the things that we've done, blogs and various things that a lot of the community have done around installing and setting up a cluster. So right now I just wanted to kind of jump to something more about the integrations that we have and using some of those projects that I saw on the slides. Let's put this down here. We've got an existing installation of Jenkins X. It's on Google Container Engine. So we have good support for Google Container Engine, EKS, and AKS is coming out as well. We have support for other cloud providers and homegrown ones, but it's just we are probably a bit more reserved in that saying how well that is, just because of our automated testing continually building up. But more support is growing every week, every month. So I've got a Google, if I do alias kubectl, KC get nodes. So I've got a cluster, hopefully, so, well, yes, okay. It's just a small cluster. So let me I've got a number of namespaces actually. Let me just do one thing. Let's go straight to JX. We're going to go JX get environments. Now, out of the box, we are a default installation would come with 3 environments: a dev environment, a staging, and the production. Dev is where we'd install a load of tooling. So this would be Tecton, for example. In fact, we can probably have see what we've got installed here. So yeah, we've got Tecton controller. We've also got a Nexus for anybody doing Java development. They want to be able to cache Java dependencies, for example, or share built artifacts with their team. We've also got SEM handler as well. So, you know, triggering builds from webhooks, for example. Let's skip over that one. And just another couple of controllers. We've got Chart Museum there at the moment as well. External DNS. I haven't installed SIP. I did SIP Manager, but you just get to see that out of the box, we want to kind of install everything, and we've wired everything up so it works nicely together. So back to the environments. That's the dev environment. We'll also have a staging and a production environment. Now, currently, these are just namespaces in this cluster. We're actually working on having remote environments at the moment, so that's going to be the next big thing that we're doing. So you could actually have your dev cluster or your build tools in one cluster, but your deployment target, your environment, is actually in a different cluster, even a different cloud provider as well. So that's there. But yes, this is already running. We practice something called GitOps. So the idea is any change that we do to an environment actually goes via a pull request, gets approved, and gets automatically deployed into that environment. So we get nice traceability for any changes going to each environment, and the state of that environment is actually, you know, stored in outside, which is quite nice. So we can go and see. In fact, I've probably got it down here. Yes, this one. Let's do this. Staging. You've got an environment repo here, a repo per environment. And you can see we've got, I don't know, we've got an apps. And you can see that I've already created an application earlier, I think yesterday or maybe a couple of days ago. So the idea of I've got an application called JRDev4 that's actually running in my staging environment. So if I go JX get applications, you can see here we've got version 001 that was installed. That's our very basic quick start that we've got for Golang. So let me take you back and show you a little bit more about that. I created that quick start using JX Create Quick Start before, and it took, basically, I created the repo for me in my GitHub account. Let's go and have a look here. Created this repo. It added in the very basic quick start, but you could import your own Go projects, Node.js, Java projects. The idea is, if you have a base project, and then we actually enrich that with Helm charts, a Docker file, and a pipeline as well. So this is really, so you've got everything that's set up. You've also got webhooks that are registered automatically as well. So any change that you now make to that application, then starts affecting, triggering builds, running your pipelines. So I think I've got to go here. I've got this project. This is my dev4 project I created with Quick Start. In fact, let's go ahead and check out work in progress. So we'll move over to a new branch. Sorry about the noise. We've got a pipeline. Now, you mentioned about Tecton. Whilst we're using Tecton under the hood, we actually have, for Jenkins developers, traditional Jenkins developers, they were using a DSL that was actually probably a bit higher level. So what we did with Jenkins X is we wanted to make, we were using a DSL that is a bit more familiar for Jenkins users. The idea is that we can then we generate the Tecton resources for the Tecton controller to run, to use. So we actually inherit from a build pack on this one. You don't have to, you can remove that. But a build pack is a shared group of, where are we? A shared group of pipelines that if you had 100 microservices that all did the exact same thing, rather than duplicating the pipeline in every one, you can just inherit it from that single build pack. So it's used. So here we go. You'll see that we've got this pipeline that's actually being run here. It does a few things, preview and various other things. So let's go back to here. So we can actually extend this build pack, config, let's pipeline, let's do pull request, pre-build steps. Let's add an extra step in here. Oops, no. Image, say BusyBox, hopefully I get this right, BusyBox. Command, hello. So what we can do is we can save this. We can actually generate what that pipeline might look like. So syntax. We have a JX steps syntax effective, which literally will go and combine the changes that I've added with the build pack that we've got there and show the effective pipeline for this for that application, for that change. Take a little, okay. So you can see here, this is the actual pipeline that is used. You can see here, in here we've got some environment variables. We've got a Canico step to build the application and pushes up to GCR. We've also got promoting as well and building, packaging the Helm chart as well. So this is all the actual steps that's needed to be able to build, package, run and promote that application to a staging environment that's there. But again, it's still in this high level DSL that we can see here. So git status, let's go ahead and commit that, commit. I tried this today, so date. Let's push this to my work in progress branch and make a pull request onto my master branch. So I should be able to go and see, yep, I got a change here. Create a pull request. Now when I created this quick start, you can create your quick start or you do JX import to import an existing one. You get the automated webhooks that I mentioned before. You can see I've created a pull request. Well, it's got the old icon, damn. What we can see here, we've got a notification because we've got the chat ops, prowl, like for anybody who's worked on every single Kubernetes repo, most projects in the Kubernetes ecosystem use a project called Prow. We've got something like Prow, we use heavily Prow. It's more of a cut down version of Prow, something called Lighthouse. So this is actually commented back on the project, on the repo. It says it's a small change and it's now building. So let's go ahead and gx get build logs. See, okay, hello not found. Okay, well, it picked up my change. Command hello, maybe it should have been in commas. Oh, sorry, echo.
Yes, echo.
Let's try that. Git commit.
Yeah, I thought you had some magical thing going on there with it. There's a new program called Hello somewhere.
Well, that would be cool, maybe. All right, date 2. Let's try that one. Let's see. Let's have a look at the build logs again. Not coming yet. There it goes. See if I've got this one right. I knew I should have practiced before. So what it does, to start with, and this is a bit more lower level than I would ever do normally, it processes we have something called a meta pipeline. So it takes that higher level, this pipeline that we've got, and then generates all of the Tecton resources. So here we can see we've created the task, pipeline run, pipeline resources as well. And that's now being processed by the Tecton controller. So if we wanted to, we could go kc get, I don't know, pipeline run. We see that was 20 seconds ago. That's actually now being processed. So that's the Tecton controller that's running that. You can see that is running up here. And we should have probably had hello. And this is, you can see where we've extended our build pack that we had before. We've added in that echo command. So that ran before any other steps within our build pack. Again, you don't have to use the build pack. In fact, a lot of projects do. Here's an example of some of ours. We've got either in the Jenkins X org or the Jenkins X Labs org. We have tons of examples where we inherit some build packs, but then we extend. And you can see we can actually add in extra container options and various other things and extra steps. So all this generating the Tecton resources that we need to be able to run that pipeline. Okay, so that ran, you can see the Canico build there. It's pushing a snapshot image up to GCR. It's then actually, because of DNS, well, we'll see if this works. Because it's using external DNS, it's actually, external DNS has recognized that we've created a brand new namespace, deployed that change for that preview into that namespace. We call it preview environment. And now the pipeline is waiting to be able to access that application that's in our preview environment. But because we're using DNS, it just takes a little while for DNS to propagate around. So external DNS is going off to Google's DNS and saying, here's a brand new A record now, and create this, and so that we can actually then access our application. So at some point, hopefully, we should. Well, that can take a little while. So let's see if we've got it. Quite yet there yet. We'll come back to this. But what it'll actually do is it'll make a comment onto the pull request, which we'll see, and we'll be able to go ahead and access that. I think probably, I've talked quite a bit there. Whilst that's actually happening, I was wondering, it's a super high level, and then dropping into some more of the interactions that we have with the projects. Was that kind of useful? I didn't know what level to pitch this and how far to go. So, I guess, yeah.
I didn't catch who was speaking, but it sounded like there was at least one question that came up.
But was that useful?
Actually, it is very useful on a few different levels. I just have some questions and some concerns. As someone working at a company that's heavily invested in Jenkins, first of all, completely agree. You guys should have called this something else. I really wish you had, because it really does not have much to do with Jenkins other than the DSL. So first question, is that the Jenkins pipeline DSL?
It's not the exact same. The main developer around that for that was Andrew Baer, and was heavily involved in this new one, because it's not exactly the same because of some of the semantics that we were working with Tecton, and some of it was quite hard to replicate. So it's as close as we could get it, but it's not an exact. There is an experimental effort that Andrew's done around taking an existing Jenkins DSL pipeline and generating some parts that we know we can generate, but that still needs some work.
Okay. So here's my problem, and this is something it's been echoed by other people who are helping us on the CD on Kubernetes effort here at eBay, and that is we are trying to, and in fact, so is the CDF, trying to get down to a standard for continuous delivery definition. The part that is extremely important to me as CDF is the definition part. The implementation right now is Tecton, but I mean, other systems can come along and take the definition of a pipeline, meaning the pipeline run, the steps, all that, and implement their own way of doing it, but still stick to the same standardized definition. And here comes Jenkins X that is layering on top of that a DSL, which then it takes and translates to a Tecton, the Tecton DSL. In one way, it helps the developer, and I agree with you completely. I'm a huge developer advocate myself, and it helps the developer to produce the Tecton DSL. That's one good thing. But it also, at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. You are now you are now creating a translator that is by definition always behind as the Tecton DSL morphs, which is, I mean, I've been involved with Tecton since late last year. It has changed quite a bit. I mean, it's in flux, and it's going to continue to be in flux for a while. How are you guys planning on keeping up with the latest Tecton DSL generation? Because I can already see it. We get this from other systems we worked on inside eBay, where we say, "Hey, are you compatible with this version of XYZ?" And we're like, "No, and we haven't updated to that yet." And this is something you're going to run into all the time. If you can speak to that.
Yeah, well, we absolutely want to. I mean, that you're completely correct. We want to. We will be keeping up to date. The good thing about Tecton is that they use strong APIs with around the custom resource definitions. So that is great. We also want all of that innovation, all of that features that the community is working on. I mean, Cloudbees in itself actually have a couple of developers that are contributing into the Tecton project. We want to be able to help that as well, help Tecton. But we still really did want to keep true to Jenkins users, whilst we can't go all the way, but have some kind of place where people are familiar, trying to build out. We found all the resources, which we absolutely love from Tecton. Having those standardized specifications is absolutely fantastic. Exactly what I think the CDF should be doing. But having that experience on top for developers, we were finding it for ourselves very, very hard. So this is something that we wanted to be able to help the Jenkins community not go a million miles away from them, because we need to have one mind on them as well, but also have something that we can embrace going forward. I mean, it's not an out-of-the-box answer, but it's something, I guess, to try and explain some of the reasons we were really trying to go down this route.
Okay, if I don't want to completely monopolize other people's time. So if please interrupt me if others have questions. But I may actually, James, reach out to you offline on this, because there's a lot of other things that we're grappling with here, having to do with on Kubernetes. So I'll yield my time to others. Right.
That sounds good.
Awesome, yeah.
Are there other questions for James?
No, I for one was enjoying that grilling.
By the way, not meant as a grilling. Okay.
It's fine.
No, it's always good, and it makes me think.
I love Kosuke. Those guys are great. I've watched them in conferences. You guys are doing awesome work. I'm very much about interoperability as well, and then this is obviously a grand scheme of interoperability. You guys are hooking in so many other things. Excellent stuff you're doing with, for example, Helm. By the way, which version of Helm? Is it 3 or 2?
That's a very good question. So we have, very, very quickly, we have something that started this year. We initiated something called Jenkins X Labs, because one of the things we wanted to do was keep Jenkins X on a stable path and keep improving and rolling out more support, different cloud providers, different SCM providers. But we also needed a place where we can actually embrace these new technologies, newer versions. So in labs, we've been working on some experiments around with Helm 3, which is awesome. We absolutely love it. But it's a major change, right? The way the move from Helm 2 to Helm 3, it has a big impact. So we've got another, from the other side, looking about our users of Jenkins X and how we actually move those users and upgrade in a nice way. So it's not an easy problem to solve, but the reason why I smiled was because it's one that we're having a lot of debate with at the moment, and how we do that. So the short answer is the stable version of Jenkins X is 2, but the longer answer is we already have stuff in labs that's working on 3. Called JXL. In fact, the repo I was showing you here, I think it is JXL here. This is Helm 3 based boot installation. Oh yeah, I'm not sharing my screen.
Yes, yeah.
But yes, so actually it was a very, very good question you asked that, so I'm thankful you did.
Yeah, just if I can put my word in for, we are dumping any installation of Tiller and all that. We are moving over to Helm 3 as quickly as we possibly can. Just FYI.
That's really good, and I'll take that feedback as well, because it's good. It'll help me actually. Let's also connect offline as well. But thank you. Yeah.
I think we'll move to close up. That seems like a nice segue, because I think Romina, it's going to be your turn for the grilling next meeting. Our next meeting is April 16th, and you're signed up to talk about Tecton at eBay. So the tables may be turned.
Very much so, and I may, and I'm not sure about that yet, but I may have to disappoint you guys. There's just that demo and presentation may not happen. I'm being hit with so many other requests right now, having to do with the fact that we're all working from home, and we've lost some personnel. So I'm having to support other things right now. So I may not be able to go forward with that. I may not have it ready in time. So, but I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, it'd be great. If you could drop a message to the mailing list, maybe like if you know, like a week in advance, and then we can either try to line something else up, or just not have a demo and push things out. It looks like that's the last one that is confirmed or is actually signed up for, although Christy may talk about Tecton Catalog and Hub in the future. So we could either swap those if she's ready to talk, or just to not do demos next time and push everything out by 2 weeks.
Sure.
But please do let us know before
sure.
As far in advance as you can.
Sure thing.
And I guess just in conclusion, so then we'll put a link to the recording, and the notes will be up in the GitHub repo in the next day or two. And the next meeting, as I mentioned, will be on the 16th of April. So we'll see everybody then, and on Slack in between now and then.
All right, thank you. And thank you again, James, for the demo.
Thanks so much, James. Appreciate
No,
that.
thank you to everyone as well. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Great. Thanks, and a fine job, Eric. Good stuff.